So, Aotearoa, New Zealand, is on the brink of a massive shakeup in how its cities get built. We're talking about the Planning Bill 2025. And let me tell you, this isn't just another set of rules. The whole idea here is to install a radical new operating system for urban growth, one that's designed to flip the script from total financial chaos to real, long-term fiscal stability.
I mean, you've probably felt this, right? You look around and wonder, why do housing costs just keep spiraling up and up? Or maybe you've seen those new subdivisions that pop up seemingly in the middle of nowhere, with no real roads or services to speak of. Well, you're not alone. What you're seeing are the symptoms of a broken system. So the big question is, why does it feel like building anything is just stuck in this endless, frustrating loop of speculation and delay?
Well, here's the thing. The thinking behind this new bill says the issue isn't just a couple of bad policies you can patch up. No, the problem is way, way deeper. It's the city's entire operating system. You know, the fundamental code that's running in the background telling us how everything from pipes in the ground to building permits actually works. And that system, well, it's about to get a complete and total reboot. Now, we're not just talking about a simple software update. This is more like wiping the hard drive and installing a brand new OS from scratch. Okay, so let's get into how this whole thing is actually supposed to work. So, first up, a crisis of chaos. To really get why this reboot is happening, we have to look at the mess it's trying to fix. The source material for this explainer calls it a compounding fiscal cancer made up of two things. First, there's gray inertia. Think of this as the endless draining cycle of pouring money into stuff like asphalt and pipes that just wear out. And then you've got regulatory debt, which is basically the huge hidden price tag for decades of unplanned car-centric sprawl.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. You see, the old system runs on what's called speculative hope. Basically, people buy up cheap land on the edge of town, hoping it'll get rezoned. This drives prices through the roof before a single pipe is even laid in the ground. The new system wants to flip that completely, tying land value to actual utility. In other words, land is only valuable if it's actually hooked up to real streets, real sewage, real transit.
And look, this isn't some new phenomenon. This whole speculative model has led to four huge problems, and we've seen it play out elsewhere before. We're talking about unmanaged population growth that just crushes public services, speculative investment that prices normal people right out of the market, absurdly high land prices, and of course this chaotic, messy development on the unserviced fringes of our cities. That is the mess this new system is designed to clean up. Okay, Section 2, flashing the urban BIOS. I love this metaphor. If you've ever built a PC, you know that flashing the BIOS is a big deal. It's not like updating an app. It's getting right down to the motherboard, the most basic, fundamental level, and replacing its core instructions. And that's exactly the idea here, to install a totally new, much more resilient operating system for our cities. So what's this new code built on? Well, it's got four core pillars. First, putting public welfare above everything else. Second, setting hard, non-negotiable limits to protect our natural resources. Third, actually mandating that we build places that are good for our health and culture. And fourth, and this one is absolutely critical, making sure that growth and infrastructure are always in sync.
So let's get into the practical tools. The first big one is something called the Urban Dam. And as the name suggests, it's a fiscal tool designed to contain growth and bring some much-needed stability to land values.
Now, to really wrap your head around the dam, you have to understand the idea of the hydraulic city. Just picture urban growth pressure as water building up. Without any containment, that water is just going to leak and spill out everywhere into the countryside as sprawl. The urban dam, well, it's the structure you build to hold all that pressure in and direct it where you want it to go.
And here's how it works mechanically. It's a really simple binary system. You're either inside the reservoir or you're outside. The inside is called the UPA, the Urbanization Promoting Area. That's the reservoir where all the growth is channeled for the next 10 years. All the money for streets and sewage goes there. And inside, value is tied to actual utility. Everything on the outside is the UCA, the Urbanization Control Area. That's the dam wall. Development is a no-go and investment is intentionally held back. Why? To kill speculation, plain and simple.
And this is the key takeaway, really. By completely killing that speculative hope in the outer areas, the system protects the whole country's balance sheet. It stops us from getting stuck with a massive bill for servicing unplanned sprawl down the road. It's a form of fiscal self-defense. All right, on to the next major piece of the puzzle, the Universal Codebook. If the dam tells you where you can build, this codebook tells you how you can build.
providing legal certainty for everyone involved. Just think about the old system for a second. We had over 1,175 different bespoke local planning zones. It was an absolute mess. It made building anything a total lottery, just riddled with risk and uncertainty. So that entire chaotic patchwork, it's getting thrown out, and it's being replaced by this. Just 17 to 20 national standardized zones. That's it. We go from over 1,000 rule books to less than 24. This creates a single, universal language for building across the entire country. It opens the door to consistency and doing things at a truly national scale. And what this really represents is a fundamental culture shift. We're moving away from the old culture of permission, where you'd have subjective hearings, endless arguments, and the constant threat of litigation. And we're moving to a new culture of adherence. The deal is simple. If your project follows the rules in the code, it gets the green light, period. That's the kind of certainty big investment needs.
Okay, so let's talk about the bottom line, the fiscal payoff. When you put these two things together, the dam telling you where to build and the code book telling you how, you get three huge benefits: certainty, scale, and resilience.
It's all about delivering a triple return on investment. First up, you get legal certainty. That means way less time and money getting wasted in court. Second, you unlock economic scale. A single national rulebook means you can roll out standardized off-the-shelf designs and create massive development pipelines. And third, you build in long-term resilience, not just by avoiding hazards, but by investing in so-called green utility, things like parks and wetlands that have an absolutely massive social return on investment.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the ultimate goal? It's to create an environment for building that is predictable, stable, and frankly, a lot less risky. This is the architecture of certainty that's needed to convince big institutional money, we're talking pension funds and the like, to finally get off the sidelines and start investing in building our future cities.
As the source material puts it, the standardized national code base is the architecture of certainty for Aotearoa's next century. Now, that's a bold statement. It's a massive bet that clear, hard and fast rules can actually engineer a more stable and resilient future. But, designing a system on paper is one thing. The real question, the one we'll see answered in the coming years, is whether an operating system this ambitious can actually be installed and run in the real world, and truly deliver on that 100-year promise.